What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. Now, the Detroit Lions and the Chicago Bears are set to clash tomorrow at Soldier Field as the 4-7 Detroit Lions go to Chicago to take on the division rival Chicago Bears. Now, unfortunately, I will not be able to live stream this game or make a video this day. I will be out of town. I will not be, and I just won't have anything ready. I have been trying really hard to get stuff pre-recorded. I don't have anything for Sunday, and I don't think I will have time to make anything. So unfortunately, there won't be anything on Sunday, but for today's video, I wanted to go over the predictions for this game, talk about this game a little bit, and talk about what, some of the predictions I have for this game and how it's going to turn out for the Detroit Lions. Now, before we get into it, before we get into these game predictions, if you are new to the channel and are enjoying this Detroit Lions content, please consider liking the videos and subscribing to the channel. It only takes 2 seconds out of your day to do so, and it helps the channel out more than you could know. So if you could do that, just take those 2 seconds to like and subscribe. I'd be greatly appreciative for it. But without any further ado, let's get into these Week 13 predictions and talk about how this matchup between the Chicago Bears and the Detroit Lions is going to shape out. Now, my first prediction for this Chicago Bears matchup is I believe the Detroit Lions defense will have a very good day, and I believe they will have their best day or close to it on defense that we have seen out of them all season. Now, the Detroit Lions defense all year has not been very good, and I am aware of that as a Lions fan. I am very understanding on the fact that our defense is not a very good one. However, they have had some good performances. They played very well in Jacksonville. They played pretty well in Atlanta. They played pretty well in Arizona. Like, they've played some good football games, and although they are not a great defensive team, they do occasionally show up on defense and play a pretty solid football game, and I believe that will be the case here in Chicago. Not only are we going with a new defensive coordinator calling the plays that was not calling the plays in week 1, Corey Unlin is going to be calling the plays. Obviously, he's the only guy there that can call plays now. Matt Patricia is no longer in the building, and in week 1, when we did take on the Chicago Bears, our game plan worked for a majority of the game until we got very reliant and very predictable on defense at the end, and that's when the defense got torched. That's when our guys got eaten up, and that's when our guys got killed by the Chicago Bears. Not only will the Lions not be dealing with as many injuries, hopefully this time around, but Corey Unlin will be calling the game. Corey Unlin will be the play caller and will be the defensive play caller for this football game, and Corey Unlin calling football games is very different from Matt Patricia calling football games. Corey Unlin likes to use zone. Corey Unlin likes to send blitzes. He likes to pressure the quarterback. He likes to get sacks. He does not rely on strictly man coverage across the board and send 3 rushers at a time. Corey Unlin knows better. Corey Unlin is going to send guys. He's going to get pressure. He's going to play more zone. He's going to not be as predictable, and as a result, I believe the Detroit Lions will have a much better defensive day this time around versus the Chicago Bears than what we saw in week 1, and I don't think, and with Corey Unlin's less predictable play calling, with him being a little bit more zone heavy, with him blitzing a little bit more, mixing up some packages, using some different guys and moving them around, I truly think it will confuse this Bears offense that already is not very good and already is one of the bottom ones in the NFL, and I think we will see a very similar performance to what we saw in the first 3 quarters of the football game in week 1, but I think without the fourth quarter collapse this time. I think Matt Patricia just had trouble holding leads. He had trouble staying in the lead in those games, and I don't think Corey Unlin is going to have that problem. I think that he's going to continue to mix things up, continue to make things different, continue to confuse and fluster Mitch Trubisky, and I think that the Lions will have a good game on defense. I think that with these new coaching staff, I think with, this different philosophy in the coaching, which I will talk about in a little bit, I truly think that this team can have a good defensive performance versus the Bears, especially with a different guy calling the defense than who we had in week 1. Not to mention that the Bears overall do not have a good defense or do not have a good offense, as well as them coming off a very poor offensive game. I mean, in their last game versus the Green Bay Packers, they had 3 turnovers lost. They were dominated in time of possession, obviously dominated on the scoreboard. Like, it was not a good game by Mitch Trubisky. It was not a good game by anybody on the Bears offense. And I truly think with the Bears' lack of talent and the Bears' lack of effectiveness and efficiency on the offensive side of the ball, with the Lions' new energy and new play calling on the defense, I think this is going to be a good game for the Lions defense. I think they can show up and have a really good day. They're probably not going to have a top 10 day. They're not going to like get 3 turnovers and get a defensive touchdown or anything like that. But I think with Mitch Trubisky being back at the helm, with Mitch Trubisky being the starter again, who is not a very good quarterback, as well as this new defensive play calling and new defensive philosophy, I think that we will confuse Mitch Trubisky. I think we can get a couple turnovers, and I think that this game will be low scoring for the Detroit Lions. I think they will keep the Bears to a very low score and will help them win the football game. I do expect and I do predict that the offense will struggle yet again. I do think it will be better than what we've seen. Over the past couple of weeks, I have seen the play calling get increasingly better over the past couple of weeks. I've seen Darrell Bevell, commit to the run a little bit more. I've seen him get a little bit more creative, use pre-snap motion more. I've seen him run some better things. I've seen him get Hockenson involved more recently. I've seen him get certain players more involved. Obviously, when DeAndre Swift is in there, we've seen him get the start and we've seen what he can do with those touches. Like over the past couple of weeks, I have seen Darrell Bevell get better, with the exception, of course, of Carolina. But I've seen Darrell Bevell call some good games this year. I've seen him call some good plays and call some good football games. And I think that without Matt Patricia, without that influence over him and that guy telling him he can't do certain things, you have to give everybody a certain amount of touches. And once Kerryon reaches 10 touches, he's done for the game. Once AP reaches 10 touches for the game, he's done for the game. Like without that presence and without that person over Bevell's shoulder telling him that, I think he's going to open up the offense. I've already heard stories about training camp or about training and about practices that tempo has been faster, that Darrell Bevell wants to use more tempo because tempo can be a big weapon, and we never really did that under Matt Patricia. So from what I've heard out of Bevell, from what I've heard out of the Detroit Lions practices and out of their trainings, they are looking to use more tempo. They're looking to play faster, looking to play a little bit more aggressive, and I think that the play calling is going to be better, and I think the Lions will have a better offensive day than what we saw in week 1 versus the Chicago Bears. But I still think the Lions have a lackluster offensive day, more so because the Bears defense is so good, more so than the fact that the Lions offense is going to be bad. I think the Lions will be efficient. I think they will put up some points. I think they will be able to put up enough points to win this football game, especially if our defense is able to have a really good and really efficient day. I would not expect the Lions to put up 40 like the Packers did. I would not expect the Lions to, go in a shootout with Chicago. I would expect it to be a low scoring game where the Lions maybe put up 20, 24, something like that, 27 points on the day, 28 points, something in there, mid to high 20s. I think this offense will be effective. There's going to come out with a new offensive philosophy that will get the Bears early in the football game, but I think the Bears defense is talented enough and smart enough to adjust by the fourth quarter. So I think we do put up points early. We generally do that in football games. We generally put points up early and fall off a little bit on the offensive side of the ball. I think that will happen again, but I think the Lions will put up a couple quick touchdowns. I think with this new offensive philosophy and this new up-tempo offense that it seems like Darrell Bevell is trying to run, I do think it will be effective early, but I think the Bears will catch on probably by halftime, maybe a little bit into the third quarter, and the offense will slow down a little bit. And I do not think we reach 30 points, but I do think we get into the 20s. I do think we get 21 to 28 points in this football game, especially if DeAndre Swift and Kenny Golladay are back from injuries, which it seems like they are starting to recover and they are starting to get back to at least a little bit of practice this week. Now, my third takeaway, and I kind of mentioned this, I do think this will be a lower scoring game. I think even Bears fans will tell you their offense is not very good. Mitch Trubisky is not very good. A majority of their offensive plays are not very good. Their offense in general just is not a good offense. It doesn't put up points. It doesn't get yards. It does not, it's just not very good. It's not a very good offense. And of course, the Lions do not have a great offense either. They are better than the Chicago Bears by a mile, but they're still not a top 10 offense. They're still not that great of an offense. Stuff just really hasn't clicked this year. There's been a lot of injuries. There's been a lot of, people missing. There's been a lot of people missing playing time, and I understand that. That is a big part of why the Lions offense has been lackluster. Kenny Golladay hasn't been playing. DeAndre Swift hasn't been playing. Our big name guys, our best players have not been playing. So you can expect a little bit of, backlash. You can expect a little bit of recoil from that where the offense is not going to be playing as well. Hopefully the Lions offensive weapons can get back to full health and hopefully they can play in this game. And I think if they do, the Lions offense will look very different and much, much better from what it looked like even a week ago, and especially much different than what it looked like in week 1. But all around, I think this is going to be a low scoring game. I think matchup wise, I think the Bears obviously have an advantage against our Lions offense. Their defense has an advantage. I think that our defense has an advantage versus their offense just because Mitch Trubisky is going into his first start since this week 3. They've really, obviously, the Bears coaching staff doesn't like Mitch Trubisky, does not have a lot of faith in him, as they did bench him for Nick Foles. Like, they don't have a lot of faith and trust in him. Their offense is severely limited with Mitch Trubisky at the helm, and I think the Lions, with a new defensive play caller and different defensive schemes, I think they come in and mess with Trubisky a little bit. I know he was 4-0 versus Matt Patricia, but Matt Patricia's not in the building anymore, or he was 5-0 versus Matt Patricia, whatever. He has not played a Darrell Bevell defense, or he has not played a Corey Unlin defense yet. He's never played it. It's something he's not used to. It's something he hasn't seen before. So I think we will get Mitch Trubisky. I think it will be low scoring. I think both teams will get around that 20-28 margin. I think it will be close. I think it will be a one-score game. But again, I do think this is one of the lower scoring games of the week. Now, my fourth and final prediction, and this is if DeAndre Swift is healthy, I think DeAndre Swift gets his redemption game. Now, all Lions fans know that DeAndre Swift ended up dropping the game-winning pass from Matt Stafford in week 1. We should have won that game. Yes, the defense was bad. Yes, DeAndre Swift should not have been put in that position. I understand all that. But DeAndre Swift had an opportunity to win the game for the Lions and ended up missing the ball. He dropped the ball. It was something he should have caught, something he's going to catch again, and again, a ball he would catch 9 times out of 10. But for one reason or another, in that particular moment, in that particular situation, DeAndre Swift ended up dropping the ball and ultimately costing the Detroit Lions the football game. However, DeAndre Swift has a chance to redeem himself. He's playing the Bears for the second time. He's at the Bears field. He has a chance to have a really good football game if he is healthy. I believe he was limited in practice on Wednesday. He does have a very, very good chance of getting back on the field. He does have a chance of playing in this game. And I think DeAndre Swift, especially with the Lions using him more, especially with the Lions utilizing his talents in both the rushing and the receiving game, I think DeAndre Swift, he makes up for lost time, and I think he gets his revenge and his redemption. I think if DeAndre Swift plays, I think he gets 100 yards rushing, or at least 100 scrimmage yards. I think he has a good game. He makes up for the 2 games he's missed recently. He obviously makes up for that costly drop against the Chicago Bears. And I think that he, if healthy, will have a really good game versus the Bears. He's a matchup problem all over the field. He's a good receiver. He's a good running back. He runs with power and patience and explosiveness and speed and quickness. Like, DeAndre Swift is the full package. And if he is playing, I do think he comes in with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder because of what happened in week 1. He comes in with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder because of his costly drop and his costly mistake to cost the Lions the first game of the season and really set the tone for the season. I think DeAndre Swift comes in with a chip on his shoulder and a mindset to make up for lost time and to redeem himself and get rid of that narrative and, make people forget about that costly drop. He does not want to be known by Lions fans as the guy that dropped the football in week 1, and I think he's going to come out and have a really good game. If he's healthy, the Lions are going to use him. We've already seen Bevell say that. We've already seen Bevell do that. So if he's healthy, DeAndre Swift will have a very good game versus the Chicago Bears, and I think will be the driving force to why we win this weekend. I do think the Lions win this game. I do think the Lions pull out a close one versus the Chicago Bears. The Bears are on a very, very slippery slope down where they have lost their last 5 football games. They aren't very good. They're not playing good football. They're down to their backup quarterback. They're down to Mitch Trubisky. Their offense is one of the worst in the NFL. And although the Lions, you can say the same thing, they have a bad offense. They have a bad defense. They have a very slippery slope where they have lost the last couple of games by a lot. You can make that argument, but I think the Lions are going to come in with more energy. They're going to come in with more passion. They're obviously going to be looking to play for their new head coach. They're going to look I think Darrell Bevell has changed some things in the locker room to make it a little bit more player friendly. I think players will respond to that a bit more, and I think that this positive change for the Lions players will cause them to come out and have some energy and cause them to come out and play a better game than the Chicago Bears. With all that being said, that is all I got for you guys today. Those are my 4 predictions for the game. Let me know your predictions down in the comments below, but without any further ado, and with all that being said, that is all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. If there is Lions news before tomorrow, then I will obviously make a video letting every single person know. But until then, that is all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you all tomorrow with more Lions content. Bye, guys.